Well, today is one of the most incredible episodes of the show that I have ever produced for me personally. And I don't say this lightly. I really don't. Today, you are going to hear about a new project called Shelter Republic, officially launching. Although, if you are an avid listener of the podcast, you have probably heard me talking about it before as we prepared for launch. Well, it's here and it's official. And you're going to hear all about it from my co-founder. Today I'm sitting down with a very special guest. It is my co-founder of Shelter Republic, a computer engineer, and my son, Jack Cooperman, to discuss the platform's structural architecture, functionality, purpose, and the necessity for safe places to explore ideas amongst peers. We're talking about the genesis of Shelter Republic. Jack and I reflect on the evolution of the platform, its need, its necessity, tracking the roots back to when Jack and his sister first visited me on stage at the West Edge Design Fair. It had to be 10 years ago. The community was built to bridge regional gaps and provide a collaborative peer-to-peer ecosystem for architects and designers to share ideas. Designing a UX for geographical context. Jack outlines the structure of the platform, which is divided into 5 nationwide micro-communities, including Mountain Atlantic and Southwest regions in addition to Pacific. It allows for highly localized discussions on styles, culture, and business norms while keeping a unified national hub, cultivating a safe place to fail. This is a really interesting one. Jack and I debate the nature of failure in school versus creative career. And I emphasize that Shelter Republic is deliberately engineered as a vetted invite-only environment to protect accomplished creatives from public dogpiling, really, or algorithmic scrutiny when exploring new, untested concepts, to peer review these ideas before putting them out. Platform features and onboarding. This was built to avoid user data exploitation and ad clutter. The platform operates via direct invitation and QR codes. Features include text-based feeds, real-time messaging, direct networking via professional member bios, live video conferencing rooms, and educational modules, including a masterclass that I produced on podcasting for creatives, which really it's 8 lessons in under 2 hours, I believe. And by the end of it, you will be able to produce podcasts for yourself. Addressing industry disruptions, AI and legislation. The conversation dives into how early career junior designers are transitioning into technology facilitators due to AI studio integration. We also discuss how the platform serves as a modern town crier for critical industry news, citing a recent user post by a Southern California designer regarding the engineered quartz ban in California due to silicosis risks. That's what this is all about, cooperation over competition. Drawing a contrast with the competitive nature of the design world, I shared a lesson from my time covering the Playboy Jazz Festival where legendary jazz musicians prioritized mentoring the next generation to keep the collective genre alive. Shelter Republic aims to foster that exact cross-regional mentorship. Thank you, Jack. I know I've already said it, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm excited to share this with you. The listeners, designers, architects, creatives, product designers, showroom managers, those in the industry who I think can benefit from this. And by the way, as you listen to this, remember, all you got to do is, if you're in the industry, email me, convobydesign@outlook.com, with in the message Shelter Republic, and I'll send you an invitation. And you're going to hear all of it right after this. At the highest level of design, the absolute best specifying designers, architects, landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You have to, because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on three priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. 1. Aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. 2. Durability and maintenance. I've told you about my board flipping stories from my own wood decks. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease of use, and they want it to last for decades. 3. Sustainably made. Clients are more conscious of the environment now, and they want the same of their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood, color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior, as it has been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled material. Their advanced PVC, vintage, and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech, or you can check them out directly, timbertech.com. Do you know what I found the other day? I found a bunch of recordings. Remember in the old house in Manhattan Beach, the studio? And you used to come in and I'd record you talking about stuff?
Yeah.
You didn't get nervous about being recorded then?
Well, I didn't think it was going to be like shown to tens of people.
All right, so listen, something that I normally do, and I love this, when I have guests on, I will ask them to give me the backstory. And while I know your backstory, those who are listening do not. Jack, give me your backstory.
I was born on a Wednesday. I've been out of school for just over a year now. Got a degree in computer engineering from Rose-Hulman, which is in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. And as in this past year, I've worked in data science, AI integration, deep learning, and software engineering spaces, as well as systems design. So I'm super excited to bring kind of the technical aspect to making Shelter Republic a fun and enjoyable online experience for all our users. So I hope that people let me know if something's broken so that I could fix it. And I think you also wanted me to talk a little bit about how AI and modern internet are.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Look at you taking control. I'll get there.
Okay.
I'll get there. I've done this a time or two.
Okay.
All right, I got you. One of the things, and I've been talking to a lot of people about Shelter Republic and this project that you and I are working on together. I was having a couple conversations last week, and I just keep remembering, I'm preparing now for West Edge Design Fair, which is going to be in October of this year. And I remember you and your sister coming down to see me. And when I started doing this, and I think when I started, she was 12 and you were 14. And does that sound right?
Yeah.
And I've got pictures of you and your sister on the stage. And what I remember about it is talking to you and your sister about what I do and how much I enjoy it. And you guys really started talking to designers and architects and just getting into it when you were so much younger, and which is why now, when you and I started working on this project last year, I had told you for a long time now that I wanted to build a community for the architects and designers that I've been speaking with and those that I don't even know. And you were like, yeah, I can help you with that. We can do that. And so we started putting this thing together. It's amazing what it has become in a very short amount of time. As you look at this project, when you think of the UX and when you think of functionality and you think of what it should be, how do you envision that?
I think it should be easy to get around, easy to navigate, easy to be able to talk to the people that you want to talk to, easy to find new people so that you can both feel comfortable interacting with the people you already know as well as seeing what other people are up to, making sure posts are spread around the whole platform, but also having spaces where people can talk to others in their geographical area because, I understand each region has like sometimes has their own distinct style and culture and norms. So I want the platform to be both large enough to accommodate everybody, but small enough to give meaning to some of the more like niche and specific regional discussions.
When we first started talking about this, and you asked me what I wanted Shelter Republic to be, and I remember explaining to you, like, I wanted to build a community, one where creatives, designers, architects could share ideas, uh, peer to peer, or rather peer test concepts, publish ideas, um, create content, learn new things, engage with others in an environment that was not subject to the scrutiny of outsiders. Because I think you and I were talking about this, and I had mentioned that there's a number of online communities, but they seem to be accepting of anyone who wants to join. And so you wind up with more people coming in and just being snarky. And the world has more than enough places to be snarky. You know, I wanted Shelter Republic to be an environment where people could say something stupid because, I mean, at the end of the day, I say stupid things all the time. And I don't edit them out of the podcast because that's the nature of exploration. You can't try new things without failure. And I wanted to build a safe environment for that. And I think you and I had a conversation once, and I kind of want you to share this a little bit about your experience at at Rose and your experience of going through the process of becoming an engineer, the trial and error, and sharing new ideas and sharing new concepts and exploring new concepts to failure and then starting over.
Well, actually, I hope this project is not like that.
No, and I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm not talking about Shelter Republic failing. What I'm talking about is designers and architects who come in and look, it's very hard for an accomplished creative. You have a designer or an architect who's been doing this for 20 years, saying something that having a thesis statement that ultimately is disproven or can't be proved, right? Is a frustrating thing, and one doesn't want to appear stupid to one's peers. At the same time, I believe that you can't have growth without experimentation. And one of the things that you had told me before, and I'm digging this out of you, man. I'm really trying to get to it. Is you had shared with me, you know, the process of becoming an engineer is all about failure. You have to try new things and explore and expand your ideas to come up with a new concept. And I was sort of hoping that you would talk about that as far as what you've learned and how you learned from that to share how we're going to structure Shelter Republic.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And what I meant before was not that I didn't hope that Shelter Republic could be that growth opportunity for so many people, but I don't want it to be like school because school was like you didn't really have a choice. You either had to like do it or you couldn't like be there anymore. And you'd already invested so much like time and money into the whole effort that you really didn't have the opportunity to fail and be okay with it. You kind of just had to do it and then immediately get back on your feet. with like copious amounts of caffeine and very little sleep. So I think that Shelter Public can be a lot better in the fact that like everybody can come to it not seeking perfection, but instead just hoping to learn something new or to be able to respond to what somebody else says and realize that there's another human like on the other side of that that also wants to grow as a person and as a professional. And I think we can all do that if we commit to that sort of thinking where it's okay to fail. And I think we can do that without having a caffeine addiction or running on like 5 hours of sleep.
Do you know what's funny though? I actually don't. I, I disagree with you a little bit. I'm going to tell you why. I don't think there's an option. School and career are very, very similar insofar as when you're a when you're a working designer, you're a working architect, you could be a working salesperson. You know, you could when you're working and you have a career, you have to understand school is safe. If you fail in school, not fail the curriculum, but fail with an idea, you have a chance to get correctional instruction and then circle back and start again. In business, in once you start your career, as you've started to see in your career, you know, if you failed, failure is not getting an F. Failure is getting fired. And to a creative, failure could mean loss of reputation. And I think that that's an important point because what you've built with Shelter Republic right now, I think is fantastic. We've got how many regions do we have? Five or six?
Five, I think.
Yeah, and it enables. Well, why don't you explain it? How it enables individuals from each region to connect, and then there are courses, and then there are other opportunities to engage with each other.
Yeah, well, you have kind of like the main hub, which is where we can all post and chat with each other from across the whole Shelter Republic community, which is ideally nationwide. And then you have the individual spaces that are for our each of our regions. So like for example, Mountain, Atlantic, Southwest, just to name a few of them. And that's where I think that we can see some more very like niche kind of regional sort of conversations about what's going on in their areas. So I hopefully there's many places where people can feel comfortable sharing. If maybe they don't have anything for the whole group, at least they would hopefully feel comfortable talking in those regional spaces with people who probably are experiencing similar challenges. So there's that. And then we're also going to have the opportunity to have more courses on the platform. So if you are not necessarily looking for discussion, but are instead just looking for growing your skills, we'll have some courses that can help with that. And then it also enables direct messaging with all the other members of the community. And since everybody ideally has like their bio attached to their profile, we're hoping that people can sort of network with each other outside of the main sort of programming that we maintain. So that's another avenue for connection. And then I think the last one is just how we have sort of live rooms, which are kind of like Zoom calls, I guess, that we could have on the platform, meaning that at times when we think it's appropriate, we can meet face to face and feel kind of closer as a community and realize that there's a human on the other side of the computer instead of just posts that just seem to appear out of nowhere. So I'm hoping that all of those things together can really bring the community into a cohesive family.
Yeah, and I think it's great. And you mentioned the courses. So the course section I think is really interesting for me because I had an opportunity to create one. You created the first course, which is kind of how to get acclimated to Shelter Republic, and then I created the second one. It was really fun. It was really it was I'd never. I have created courses before, but never like this. The course I created was podcasting for creatives because I have noticed that every designer and architect out there, every firm wants to have a podcast of their own, which I think is great, but nobody really knows how to get started and do it the right way necessarily. You can do it. It doesn't mean it's going to be good or it's going to be well done, or you're not going to struggle with it. And basically, it's what, like 8 modules in under 2 hours that tells you how to go from not having a podcast to being up and editing and publishing immediately. And I think to take that kind of idea in context and provide that for brands to put out CEUs or to have designers share how their process works through podcast, and then creating courses separately, I think is going to be really interesting, and I'm excited to see all the content that gets published over time. You know what's been the hardest though, and this is really interesting. I don't know that I expected this level of challenge with regard to engagement. Getting people to try something new is really a challenge sometimes. And what's really interesting about this is because of the way we structured it, it's free. There's no data collection. There's no expense. There's no cost. There's no ask. But you have to be invited. And I've noticed that some people are so skeptical at the very beginning that they take longer to sign up for something, even though it's both beneficial and free. I don't know if there's a name for that. Is there a name for that?
Wariness, I guess. But
Maybe.
it's well placed though, because a lot of the free things out there are free because the user themselves are the product. So that's especially true for things like VPNs or really anything that has ads on the website. We don't, collect data or serve ads in that way, but I guess just to appeal to the transactional people, what we're gaining from giving this out for free is just to satisfy a desire that I think we have to really make like a really diverse, full, and engaged community. So that's what we're in it for. And hopefully that's a good trade-off.
What's interesting about it too is the format itself, because it's closed-ended, has provided. So I've been doing a lot of writing, and there's a lot of articles. There's a lot of content already on the platform. What it's enabled me to do is do some research that I would rarely, if ever, talk about at that length on the show. You know what I mean? I've been doing some deep dive research and exploring a little bit about the industry and ways in which tariffs, supply chain, fuel surcharges, these are just a couple of things that I've been writing about lately, have impacted the industry, along with, it's interesting, the way that AI, and you know better than I, but the way that AI is starting to develop, and people haven't really considered this. But for example, design students who are coming out of school this year and in future years aren't really doing the design that they started design school for. They don't necessarily have the opportunity, because through AI, many firms are doing the things that first year design employees, junior designers would be doing. And so now they're facilitators. They're chasing down materials, and doing code checks and that kind of thing, which is great because it's all something that they need to learn. But over time, as artificial intelligence gets more and more involved in the industry and takes over more and more roles, it's going to diminish the ability for some creatives to do their job. I read an article the other day about the architect the future of architects, and the future of architecture design, how that is so rapidly changing through artificial intelligence that the role of people is going to be severely diminished. And I think that's true. But I also think that those who start exploring new ideas and having conversations with each other about how to change the nature of the industry and what they do. I mean, it's fascinating to me. What you do for a living didn't exist really 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that people, instead of being so scared about what we're losing with like the advent of a lot of the technology we're seeing rise so quickly, we should instead be talking about all the doors that it's going to open for us. And I think it's kind of hard to talk about that in a way because a lot of the doors that it is opening are just are more technical, since a lot of the stuff that artificial intelligence is replacing are kind of the lower level kinds of tasks, as you said, that like junior professionals would probably engage in at the beginning of their career. But I think that puts more like onus on the employers for having like the foresight and investing the time to upskill their employees. And I think if they do that, I think it's the right thing to do from a people perspective. But I think it's also a good business decision because now they have more people working on the tasks that humans excel at that robots don't. And I think that is a lot of like the creativity kinds of tasks and really coming up with solutions to problems that haven't been seen before. And I'm hoping that Shelter Republic can like aid in this by having like courses where, maybe like if you work at a larger firm, maybe the leadership won't invest in upskilling. But at the very least, I think Shelter Republic can try to have courses that will enable everybody to try to do that themselves, which is hard. And I think and it would be easier, I think, if we didn't have to worry about jobs being replaced. But I think that's just the nature of change. And I think a future where we're all more skilled professionals isn't necessarily a bad one. I just think that we need to help each other get there.
Through my experience as a professional, um, you have certain industries that are very, and I think I've told you this story before when I was working for Playboy and I would cover the Playboy Jazz Festival. And I would talk to these old school jazz musicians, and they all felt a responsibility to help the younger generation succeed. They would help mentor them, they would help teach them, they would bring them into their bands and let them jam and let them play with them, gain experience so that they could become stronger musicians on their own, which seems counterintuitive, but by being stronger, it helps the industry as a whole. And jazz is one of those institutions that it's not like rock or rap or hip hop or any of the other that just seem to youth catches onto them and they just keep moving forward. Jazz was and is a continually dying genre. And I think that was part of why, in my experience, so many of these guys wanted to help the younger musicians. I don't see that same level of commitment in design and architecture. That's not to say that there aren't professionals who help mentor and teach younger designers, but I think it is it's more of a competitive industry than a cooperative industry. And I think that you can see that as evidenced by this inherent reliance on trends and trendiness A trend will come out and then everyone will jump on it. And then something else will come out and then everyone will jump on it. It's not about so much building out the future of the industry as much as it is about certain individuals becoming star architects or star interior designers, being on the TV show, gaining fame, getting a large social media following. Many designers don't really share what they do and how they do it. But one of the reasons I wanted Shelter Republic to be structured the way that it was this idea that has come out of a post-pandemic world where designers now, through virtual meetings and remote opportunities, if you're in LA, you can take on a client in New York City. If you're in New York City, you can take on clients in the Midwest. If you're in the Midwest, you can take on a client in Florida. Because of this, having Shelter Republic with these various different regions and growing a large community and then subsets of micro communities, a Texas-based designer can reach out to a New York City-based designer and say, hey, listen, I've got a new client. Can you help me? I need to locate trades to do this. I need to talk to certain showrooms. Can you introduce me to the showroom manager? Can you introduce me to your product rep? Can you help me with, and to have that environment where people can help each other and work cooperatively. Because I think that by creating an environment where people help each other and work together cooperatively, the strength of the group is greater than the individuals combined.
I totally agree. And I welcome any kind of suggestions that anybody would have about how to start that kind of culture. Because I can get the website working, I can do that, but I don't think community building is really my expertise. And I think that that's something that you and I are going to have to learn together. So I'm excited for that, but I'm really excited for that possibility that you're talking about really those like genuine human connections that we're not here enforcing, but just happen as a result of what Shelter Republic is. So I'm certainly looking forward to that.
So share with everyone the onboarding process. How does it work?
Well, you would get a QR code or a link from either of us. So, for example, at West Edge, we would show that to everybody that we would want to invite. And once you sign that QR code, it kind of takes you to a sign up page where you kind of input your information, and your name, profile picture is always kind of nice. And then a bio, however in depth, is fine. But just know that, longer bios are somewhat preferred so that people on the platform can kind of know what you're about before they choose to interact with you. I think that just helps build a little bit of trust. And then after that happens, you will get kind of a onboarding email that will just link you to some of the resources, like the Getting Started guide that's on there, but you'll have access to all the spaces. And I think it'll be clear that you can always reach out to either of us for help getting started, or if there's a particular technical issue, that I could be the one to help with that. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't think it's too difficult. For anybody watching this, if it was difficult, please let me know.
I think that you and I are both extremely excited about this, and I know I am, and I think you are too. And I'm hoping that this becomes something where my vision for this has been that folks would come in, be able to peer test ideas, share ideas, have conversations, get information, grow professionally, build a network, and have a safe place to come and ask questions and get information and share ideas. Because I think that it's become incredibly frustrating, whether you're on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, any of the social media where someone will share an idea or have a question, and then these people come in and just dogpile. What a dumb idea. And designers don't generally do that. What I've found is that designers will not ask the question for fear of appearing as though they don't know something, or for fear of that kind of dogpiling. And this is designed. This has been structured to be a safe place. You are listening to my conversation with Jack Cooperman, engineer extraordinaire and co-founder of Shelter Republic. We'll be right back. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've heard me say this, that the most important word in the design industry is service. Product is important, price is important, selection is important, but stellar service is the premier idea that can make all the difference in the success of a project, any project. How design professionals like you demand great service and your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commission sales professionals. It's really important. It means that their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that with over 60 years of experience in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. Now, you have the Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. Earn 3% in Best Buy gift cards, e-gift cards, or 2.5% in rewards checks for every qualified and delivered sale. In addition to special trade pricing, exclusive offers, access to exclusive special events, and so much more than I could possibly tell you about here. And the cherry on top is access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands and the stellar service, again, from a company that has been serving the industry for over 60 years. Terms and conditions apply to the Pro Rewards program and builder trade incentives. So visit a Pacific Sales expert at a showroom today for full details and to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. The design industry is in the midst of a generational and fundamental change. If you're in the biz, you feel it. I know you do. We all do. Just about every aspect of the industry is growing, changing, and turning into something entirely different due to a number of factors that, not to go into here, but between tariffs and supply chain and political influence, just clients have changed. Pricing has changed. Everything about the industry has changed, except for one thing: the need for strong design and architecture communities. And that's what led to the creation of Shelter Republic, an online community exclusively for the design and architecture communities, a place to engage with other like-minded creatives outside of the prying eyes of clients and the media. Wouldn't you like to belong to a nurturing community where you can have those real, challenging, authentic conversations, watch exclusive design-focused content, take free courses to level up your design business, hear from experts in the industry, guiding you and helping you move ever forward? And it's free to join. No catch, but it's invitation only. This is not like maybe some other programs you've heard of before where you pay a fee, a sizable fee, and go through a quasi-vetting process only to get there and realize that you're kind of just paying for an ad. That is not what this is. If you're a designer or an architect, you qualify. If you want in, email convobydesign@outlook.com and type Shelter Republic in the subject line. That's it. An invitation to join will follow. Call this the anti-social media platform where you can meet, engage, and share ideas in a safe, closed community environment of like-minded creatives. That's what this is. And like I said, it's free to join. Send an email, convobydesign@outlook.com. Subject line is Shelter Republic. It's that simple. And like I said, it's free to join. See you there. I told you before how excited I am to do this with you and that you and I are doing this project together, and I absolutely love that. Give me, it's funny because I work directly with designers and architects every day, and I have for, the last 14 years. You don't. You've been working with engineers, which it's funny, there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot different. And you and I have talked a great deal about Shelter Republic and what it is and what it is functionally and what it's been designed for. Give me your give me your overview. Give me your thoughts on Shelter Republic from your perspective.
Yeah, you're right. So I did go to school for engineering, and um, kind of what I thought was the best part and the worst part, I think, was how prevalent just all of the equations and formulas and concepts are. And that no matter where an engineer is or what they look like or feel like or what they do, the equations and the principles that they'll use will always be the same. But after kind of learning more about this industry ever since you let me join your project, so thanks. I'm realizing that's kind of the opposite with the shelter industry. Since the rules designers play by are unique to the client, specific to the location, and even a style that's so normal in a city may look foreign and impractical in a rural town. So there's just so much more runway and so many other things to think about. And I actually think that's a really cool thing because it seems like it keeps everybody on their toes and kind of gives the new people in the industry their own place to sort of excel in a way that I think engineering doesn't. So I think that's been something that's really been interesting to me. But I've also learning about that. It also seems that it's been difficult since the industry seems to have to rely on sort of regional design shows like West Edge to connect designers with vendors and content creators. So while the shelter industry is never really going to go away, at least to me, it seems very segmented and siloed. So what I think Shelter Republic is really is for being really the first networking and learning platform by shelter professionals for shelter professionals that really brings the styles from all over the country to your phone or computer. The rocky coastlines of Maine. I haven't seen those, but I've heard they're pretty rocky. To the sunny suburbs of California, and things like the woody style of the mountains to the sort of pool-centric ranch style of the Southwest. So I feel like Shelter Republic really connects the industry in a way we haven't seen before so that everybody can share their ideas, protect our markets, and kind of together create living spaces in which all Americans can thrive in. And I just think that's a really cool mission. And I'm excited to make Shelter Republic that with you.
And I love working on this, and it's interesting because something I was thinking about our conversation um, and recording together, and something happened this week that I thought was really interesting on Shelter Republic. There was a post by one of our members named Karen, who's a designer in Southern California, and she was talking about how California is in the process of banning uh, engineered quartz and engineered stone quartz countertops, so both the fabrication and manufacture, because there have been, it's just it's been awful. Those who work on that particular product are getting really sick because the silica gets into their lungs, and the only way to rectify that is a double lung transplant. It's horrible. And since they've been paying attention to it, it's the evidence so far is supporting that it's not good. And what's interesting, like in Southern California, that's where formaldehyde in plywood was banned, and asbestos was first banned, and plastic bags and incandescent light bulbs. And it's funny because people make fun of California for being so rigid, but at the same time, the, what these regulations do is they make it healthier for the trades. I mean, the design community wants the trades to be healthy. And it's interesting to have this conversation. But the reason the conversation is so important is because many in the industry are so busy, working on their own projects that they're not really totally paying attention to what's happening in Sacramento and what's happening in government. And those designers who are outside of California, they kind of need to know this too, because generally speaking, California has been the vanguard for issues like this in the past, low flow toilets and low flow shower heads and the like. So having this conversation about what does that mean if quartz countertops become banned in California? And, there's a long history of specifiers who would want a 2.6 gallon per flush toilet for their clients, but you can't get them in California. And so there have been cases, I'm not saying any designer would ever do this, but there have been cases where they would put in the low flow toilets for inspections and then post inspection go to Nevada or Arizona to buy the 2.6 and then bring them back and swap them out. There are so many, and right now that's just one issue on the regulation side. The issues with tariffs, to be able to have a closed-end community where people could speak freely and talk to each other about fuel surcharges and which brands are raising prices and which billing models are working best for certain designers, and to talk stylistically. And it feels to me, and we've had this conversation before, that, a rising tide raises all boats, right? And that's what's been so fun so far is hearing what our members have to say and hearing them talk about the issues that they're facing. And for me, that's really important. And, I know that for what you do, because you're on the cutting edge of technology, you can see these issues coming faster. And what's fascinating is that they don't really, it takes time for technology to reach those in the design community, because everyone's so busy working on their projects that they're not really reading the Wall Street Journal or, California Building Today or or things like that to see what's happening. So it's also, it feels to me kind of like a news source, the way that like the old town crier used to be, where, someone with a bell in the square talking about what's happening now. That's kind of how I was envisioning it. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think I'm excited for Shelter Republic to be just that. So I think that's totally on par. Yeah.
Do you have any favorite tools that you've discovered through this platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the real value proposition for the platform is really just all the different spaces. So we have the Republic Hub, where designers and vendors from everywhere can come to highlight their work and ask questions of the community at large. So that includes kind of one space that's sort of more post-based, kind of like you would see in social media. But then there's also a part of that where you can kind of just text each other as if it was kind of like on your phone, and you get that instant messaging, which I think is really cool. And then we also have other sections of spaces that are dedicated to the specific geographic regions, because we recognize that some conversations are more powerful with the local context in mind, and really helps to facilitate that, given that all the locations are unique, and it probably would be hard to discuss that kind of Republic wide. So I'm definitely really excited about that. And then there's just like any other social platform, there's easy direct messaging. So somebody could go and look at the member list, read people's bios. So hopefully they made bios, and then kind of see what everybody's about and what they're working on, so that this way you can much more easily get help or insight from somebody that's, on the other side of the country, to help with your problem or your question. So super excited about that. And then I think the last big thing is just all of the sort of video conferencing tools that are available, which I think will help a lot for doing courses or for just kind of having like small to large real-time group conversations face to face. So I'm definitely pretty excited about all of that.
So I'm thrilled to be working with you on this. This is exciting for me.
Well, good. I'm glad. It's exciting for me too. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So listen, as mentioned, it's free, but you do need an invitation. So per usual, message me on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X, or send me an email, convobydesign@outlook.com, and welcome to Shelter Republic.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Jack, for joining me on the show today. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts and for all of the work that you have put into this. This is really fun for me, and I'm thrilled to be doing this with you. Thank you to my incredible partner sponsors, Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, TimberTech, the Best Buy Company, James Hardy, and of course Shelter Republic. Their sponsorship of Convo by Design allows me to seek out sublime design stories from beyond the work itself and showcase unique personalities, chasing new ideas and changing the way we think about design and architecture, and then present it to you in a unique and positive way. So please give them an opportunity on your next project. Thank you for sharing this journey of ours. 2026 marks 13 years of constant publication of the podcast with over 700 interviews, thousands of guests, and couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't want to. So thank you for listening. And please continue to keep those guest suggestions coming, as well as thoughts about where you would like to see the show recorded live. Convo by Design at outlook.com, and on Instagram, Convo by Design with an X. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, be well, stay focused and driven so you can rise above the chaos.